Oh, mute. Okay, so I mentioned to you guys a while ago that Chris and I, and it's a little nuts, but we were looking into having an in-law suite built on our property for his parents. And you know my history with his parents, that it's not always like they try my patience sometimes. But his dad is really sick with Parkinson's. They're all the way in South Carolina. His mom's his primary caregiver. And I don't even know how she's done it this long. His dad definitely needs and should be in assisted living, but neither of them want to do it. It's not on the table. So, we've had lots of conversations about how the best thing, probably for them, for everyone, is to get them up here. And they really shouldn't be, they were looking to buy a house somewhere, it's like a half hour from here. Like, what good does that do? So we tried to, we're working with an architect. We're trying to build a separate structure for them so they could basically have their own house, which we can't do because of various zoning things. So now we're looking to do an addition onto our house. They would have their own living space, but we would redo our kitchen. So it's really big and share a kitchen space. And so this has been a practice in, really it's in modification. And how can we, sometimes you have a certain idea in your head and for whatever reason, life doesn't work that way, which is most often the case, right? Things rarely go the way that we originally planned them. And so how can we be flexible enough to modify our ideas, our expectations, and to really make things work for us? And because of my father-in-law's Parkinson's, it's like looking at my house in a totally different way of how can this become handicap accessible. And what this reminds me of in yoga is the beauty of pose modification. Not only with each specific pose that we do, that there are so many different ways that we can modify it to make it work for each individual person's needs and capabilities, but also that we can modify and tailor our practice to what's going on in our lives specifically. So even just from today, I woke up for the first time ever. I turned 40 this year, so this must be part of that. But I woke up with some sciatica. It's probably because I sleep with Eva. So I'm sure that's why. But so today it's like, how can I modify my practice to stretch out my piriformis, which is pinching that nerve a little bit. It's already better now. I did a little bit of stretching, but I can modify my yoga practice to my body, to that particular issue that I'm having today. Debbie, with what's going on with Quinn, which is her son's dog, Susan, is stress, right? Like which is always something that we can work with yoga, and really focusing on breath, on taking deeper breaths, no matter what the practice is, no matter if it's a more vigorous practice, more gentle or restorative practice, which certainly you can tailor to a more restorative practice when you're feeling stress and overwhelm. But some people like to a more vigorous practice then to kind of burn off, get that energy of anxiety or whatever to release that. So what it comes down to is really knowing your needs, touching in with yourself, with your body, honoring and listening, and knowing what we need and our limitations, what we don't need, right? And this is where people really get hung up, especially people who are more drawn to a vigorous practice, in pushing themselves too far. It's what we see in yoga injuries all the time. It's like, I shouldn't have done that, right? We know almost right after it happens, like, oh, I pushed myself too much for whatever reason. There's tons of reasons that we do that. could just be a lot of it. Sometimes it's just ego and wanting to do what the rest of the class is doing. It's hard to say. It's hard to change your perspective in your life when the body becomes more limited. I see this with my aging mom too, like can't do what you used to be able to do. And that's hard to accept, to wrap our heads around. And that's hard even on the yoga mat when we're completely able-bodied. If we're completely able-bodied, that, you know, maybe that version of the pose that everyone else can do is not something that's for me. And yoga teaches us to be really okay with that. Can we just hold space and be okay with that? So let's take a nice comfortable seat. It's more than enough chatting from me. And welcome your breath. So for me today, I always sit like this, sit cross-legged when I come to meditate or teach. And this is very contraindicated for sciatica. And I actually feel it right now, and I haven't felt it all morning. So the way that I'm going to modify, and you can join me in this or not, is to sit in hero's pose. And for hero's pose, I could just sit right on the ground because that's available to my body. But that again is this variation, this deepest version of the pose is not going to serve me. I can do it and I could sit here and be in discomfort. But why? So I'm going to sit up on a block and I'm going to take a blanket over that block because I like it. Feels the most comfortable to me. And then I'm going to bring my feet in so that they frame the block. Move the flesh away from the sitting bones. And this is so much nicer. So whatever your most comfortable seated position might be, you can feel free to take the time to prop yourself in that variation. And then close your eyes and welcome your breath. Sitting up nice and tall, taking your shoulders up, back, and down. And can you welcome what you find? Something else I struggle with is modifying my day around my energy level. On nights when I haven't gotten a lot of sleep, because like last night, Ani woke up in the middle of the night. And so then I was up for a while. And so I'll kind of forget and be going through my day and wondering why I feel the way that I feel or why things feel like a struggle. So that's this practice of compassion for ourselves. Oh yeah, I'm just tired. Can I make space for that and let that be? Or, oh yeah, things are really stressful right now. I'm really worried about what's happening within my family or with my friend or with myself or the world. So just noticing what things are, practicing that acceptance and allowing for things to be as they are. Inviting and bringing some compassion to that. And then moving forward and changing our plan or the way that we do things to tailor it to fit our needs. So that our limitations aren't so limiting. So instead, we mold things around us to support and hold up those limitations. Just a few more breaths here. See if you could focus on relaxing, letting go. Not holding on to anything besides this moment. Giving yourself your practice as a gift. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart. You can set an intention for your practice today. And then let's seal in our intentions and begin our class with 3 cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in. Let it go with a sigh. 2 more like that. Gently bow your head to your heart. Slowly open your eyes, release your hands. So whatever position your legs are in, doesn't matter. You could keep them just as they are. Bring your hands down by your sides. And as you inhale, turn your palms up, reach the arms up, lengthen through the side bodies, stay rooted through your sitting bones, rise up through the crown of the head, maybe look up. And as you exhale, turn the palms away, float the arms all the way back down. You could involve your neck here too, and then look down as the arms come down, and then inhale, palms up, arms up, gaze up, reach up, breathe, exhale, palms turn away and down. Maybe chin comes to your chest, and just focus on moving with your breath. So this pose, simple as it may be, can be a lot of work depending on how we do it. It's not always what we do, it's how we do it. So here you could imagine that your arms are moving through water, when you're swimming and you press down through the water, there's that traction and tension. See if you could mimic that here so that all of your muscles are engaging and hugging to the bone. Inhale, reach the arms up. And for some people with any kind of shoulder impingement or neck issues, maybe the arms don't come all the way up. Maybe the full expression of the pose is here. And then back down. And just noticing what feels best in your body today. What does your body need? On the next inhale, pause at the top. And as you exhale, you can twist to the right. Just a real gentle twist as you bring your arms down. Your left hand can come to your right knees. You gaze over your right shoulder. And then inhale, sweep the arms up. And exhale, take it over to the left. And move with your breath here. Eva is sitting up now and she's getting ready to crawl. So she's real topsy-turvy. Every time you pick her up, she kind of starts to twist, and she twists herself around on the floor to move around. It's like she can move around the whole living room without crawling. And it's just so fascinating to me to see how little babies, as they're getting to learn how to use their bodies, how these different movements can support them. She can move all the way around without crawling or walking. All right, one more each side. So it's really natural. It's really natural, this process of modifying. Inhale up and exhale, hands to heart center. All right, let's come to all fours. Knees underneath your hips, wrists underneath your shoulders, and we'll move through a few rounds of cat and cow here. You can tuck your toes under or have your toes pointed straight back on the tops of your feet. But if you do see that the feet aren't sickling, that the heel is pointing straight up towards the sky. So as you inhale, arch your back, and exhale, round. Even here, we can modify so that we don't go 100% into our back bend. Maybe we pull it back to 70% so that we're not overarching the spine, especially if we have lumbar considerations, low back pain, or sciatica. Maybe there's a point in the movement that feels really good to hold. And we pause there and breathe into it. Inhale back to a neutral spine. Take your hands a little forward and a little wider on your mat, and then we'll move through some hip circles. Feeling into the hips and noticing if the hips feel really tight, if there's any discomfort, if one side feels more mobile than the other. Go ahead and switch direction. And here you notice how that feels. How does this feel on the knees, on your wrists, on the rest of the body that's supporting you? Does this feel good in your shoulders? Could you incorporate them into the movement? And then when you come back through center, we'll find child's pose, knees wide, toes together. Reach your arms out in front of you and imagine that you're being stretched as your seat and your tailbone move down towards your heels and the earth, anchoring you in your foundation. Can you lengthen through the side bodies, out through the crown of the head, maybe even walk your hands out a little further and breathe. From here, walk your hands over to the right until you get a stretch through your left side body. You can take your left fingertips a little further away. Inhale back through center and exhale, walk your hands over to the left until you get a stretch through the right side body. Lengthen the right fingertips away. Breathe through the right side. Inhale back through center and slowly make your way into downward facing dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, press your chest back. Pedal out through your feet and your legs, bending one knee and sending the opposite heel towards the ground. Inhale, come forward to a high plank. And this is one that maybe we always modify. Maybe the knees come down. If your knees come down, you can lift your feet up, bring your chest forward. On an exhale, bend your elbows straight back, lower yourself all the way down to the ground. Stretch the legs out long, tops of the feet to the earth. Curl your shoulders up, back, and down. Inhale, heart forward and up for cobra. Exhale, back into down dog. Right leg lifts as you inhale. Lunge it forward as you exhale. Maybe you need to help your foot all the way up. There's been plenty of times of years of my practice where I didn't need to do that, right? How does my ego react now that I need to? I've had to do it since this last pregnancy. Things are just different in my body right now. So here, right knee is over the right ankle. You can use some blocks to give yourself more height. And the thing about modifications is that we don't know if something works until we try it. You would not believe the amount of people I've seen in yoga class who won't even try to use blocks. Like what? Why? How do you know if you like something or don't unless you consider it, give it a try. So here, if you're up on your blocks, you have a little more room to lengthen the spine. Press your left thigh up towards the sky. And then here you're going to squeeze both of your butt cheeks, activate your glutes. This is a great pose for sciatica, really squeezing the butt. Keep breathing, lengthen the spine, try to draw the shoulder blades onto the back. Then bring your left hand down to the ground if it's not there already, and inhale, sweep your right arm up as you twist. Keep pressing your left thigh up to the sky. Keep activating the glutes and hugging the outer hips in towards the midline, and then curl the heart open. Lean back. Exhale, release. Downward facing dog. You can move through another vinyasa here, or you can modify your practice to be more restorative by staying in downward dog or coming into child's pose. We'll meet back in down dog. And then on your next inhale, take your left leg to the sky. Exhale, lunge it forward. You can help it out here or not. If you use blocks on the first side, use them on the second side. Seat at your left knees over your left ankle. Press your right thigh up towards the sky. So the kneecap lifts. Squeeze and hug your butt cheeks. The outer hips draw in. Keep that, and then the pelvis can start to move down towards the ground as you lengthen the spine. Breathe. So in every pose, we're asking ourselves, first, where can we create more stability in our foundation, in our structure? And then where can we create more space, more breath, more flow? Bring your right hand down to the ground. Inhale, sweep your left arm up. Press your feet down into the earth. Hug the muscles of your legs to the bone. And then open up the pose. Exhale, release. Downward facing dog. Option to move through a vinyasa here. Option also to skip it. On your next inhale, step or jump your feet forward, and exhale as you fold. This is a pose, Uttanasana, that most people need a modification in. How do we modify this pose? Well, you can keep your hands on the ground and bend your knees. You can bring blocks under your hands and either bend your knees or straighten your legs. The goal here is not to have your legs straight and fold in half unless that's available to your body. The goal here is to have length in the spine to create a natural curve in the low back so that there's no rounding, and to keep that as we begin to stretch out the hamstrings. But as soon as we straighten the legs and lose that, that's not the point. We've lost it. We've lost the integrity of the pose for the sake of the ego, of feeling like we're doing it the way that everyone else is, or it's supposed to look like, and light on yoga. Couple of breaths here. Then press down into your feet. And as you inhale, reach the arms all the way up, come up to stand, and exhale, hands to your heart. In Uttanasana, in Tadasana, take a look at your feet. See that they're sitting bone or hip distance apart. Engage the muscles of the legs so the kneecaps lift. All four corners of the kneecap point straight ahead. You hug your shins in. The inner thighs move in, back, and apart. The outer hips hug in. Tailbone lengthens down so the pubic bone draws up. Belly tones. Rib cage draws in. Shoulders move up, back, and down. Crown of the head lengthens towards the skies. The side bodies get long. And we breathe. Then inhale, reach your arms up. Grab your right wrist with your left hand. Take a big inhale. And as you exhale, reach out and over to the left. And send your hips to the right. Big stretch through the right side body. Inhale back to center, change hands, grab onto your left wrist with your right hand, root into your feet. Inhale, get nice and tall. Exhale, reach out and over to the right. Send your hips to the left. Breathe. Inhale back through center and exhale, release. Take a wide stance on your mat. Feet parallel. You can extend your arms straight out from your shoulders and line up your ankles under your wrists or close to it. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your right toes face forward. See that your heel to arch aligned. Bend your right knee. If the knee starts to move past the ankle, you need a little more space. Crown of the head stays over the tailbone. There's a tendency to lean the body. Keep it upright. Extend your arms straight out from your shoulders. Gaze out over your right fingertips. Warrior two. Flip your front palm, reverse your warrior. Press into your right foot, straighten your right leg, engage your quads, lift the kneecap, keep leaning back. Then inhale, bring your arms up to a T. Exhale, reach your right fingers forward. Trikonasana, triangle pose. Here your hands can come to your shin or use a block. By using props and modifying our pose and creating more space in the body in these shapes, we change the whole experience of the pose for ourselves. We allow energy to flow in the body more freely, and that's what makes yoga feel so amazing. It's not just that we stretch our muscles and release tension. It's not just that we take deep breaths and activate the parasympathetic nervous system. It's that through this practice, we make space so that our energy and our chi, our prana can flow. Little bend into your right knee. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, hands to your hips. Turn your right toes to face forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold, hinge from your hips as you bow forward. Keep the spine long. Keep a curve in the low back. Maybe that means bending your knees. Resist the shoulders away from your ears and away from the ground. You can release your hands to the earth or not. And then inhale, lengthen to a flat back. On your next breath in, come all the way up to stand. Turn your left toes to face forward. And second side. Bend your left knee. Find your warrior two. If you use blocks on the first side for triangle, you want to make sure that you have a block there now. Flip your front palm, reverse your warrior. Nothing changes in the legs. We hold that shape and lean back, finding space through the side body. Press down into your left foot, straighten your left leg, kneecap lifts, quad engages. Inhale, arms up to a T. Exhale, reach your left fingertips forward. Find triangle pose on the second side. Use your breath. Little bend in your front knee. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands to your hips. Turn your left toes to face forward and step or jump your feet together. Then take your feet outer hip distance apart. Turn your toes out. Bring your hands to heart center. Take a breath in. Stay nice and long through the crown of the head. And exhale as you come into Malasana, into a squat. Here we lift the pelvic floor. So we draw all the way up, lengthen through the crown of the head. Keep pressing the palms together. The elbows press into the thighs. The legs hug back into the elbows. And then from here, you'll place your hands. We're going to step back into downward facing dog. Right leg lifts as you inhale, lunge it forward as you exhale. Bring your back knee down, you can pat it here. You can come up onto your blocks. We're going to take a thigh stretch. So bend your back knee. You can walk your right hand up onto your thigh or keep your hands on your blocks and reach back with your left hand for your left foot. Breathe. Sometimes here my hamstring starts to cramp up. If that happens, focus on engaging the front of the leg, the quad, which is hard when we're on the knee, but you do your best. Go ahead and release. Bring your hands down to your blocks. Walk your blocks back. Come up onto your heel. Toes peel up towards your face. And as you straighten your right leg, right kneecap lifts. So you come into a runner's lunge and fold forward. Draw your right hip back to try to keep the hips level. Breathe. Walk your blocks forward, bring your right foot back down, step back, downward facing dog. Option to move through a vinyasa here. For me, it feels good to stay in down dog and stretch out my hamstrings a little after that. Left leg lifts as you inhale, lunge it forward as you exhale. Bring your back knee down. Take your time here and come up onto your blocks. Lift your back foot. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's enough of a stretch. Like, holy moly, maybe use a yoga strap to modify. You could just keep your hands down on your blocks, or you could walk your left hand up onto your thigh, reach your right hand back for your foot. Breathe. Go ahead and release. Bring your hands to your blocks. Straighten out your left leg. Peel your toes up so that you're on your heel. And then you draw from all four corners of the foot up into your hip. Kneecap lifts so that you can safely stretch the hamstrings. These are antagonistic muscles where the top of your leg, your quad, has to engage so that the hamstring can safely stretch. Bow over that leg. Walk your hands forward. Make your way back into downward facing dog. Here, optional final vinyasa, or not, you could just stay in down dog. I'm gonna stay in down dog. Few breaths. Then we're gonna come down. Bring our knees down. We're gonna come into a yin pose, which is called saddle. So here, the way to modify this is to do hero like we did in the beginning and to sit up on a block. If that doesn't work for your knees, you could be here, like you're setting up for camel. Or you could just do a half hero where you extend one leg. But if you're working on the saddle version, your feet, it's more like child's pose, where the big toes come together and you sit back on your heels. And here you bring your hands back behind you. You could do that with blocks. It doesn't matter how far back you go. You'll still get benefit to this pose just by leaning back a little bit. Or you can come all the way down onto your forearms. But it's not necessary. What's necessary is to listen to your body and to find the variation of the pose that works best for you. This is another great one for sciatica. It also activates the stomach meridian and the spleen. It works with earth energy. This is not only really good for any stomach issues, digestion, but also for anxiety, for worry, also for an excess of earth energy, which could look like sluggishness or the need for hoarding or accumulation of earthly things. I have a lot of earth energy, so this is something I'm always working on. Attachment to stuff and organizing, throwing out, minimizing. Just a few more breaths here. And then you'll slowly make your way out. Come to sit off of your heels off to the side or in any position that's comfortable for your body. Pause and breathe. Swing your legs out in front of you. Shake the legs out. Draw the right knee into your chest. Keep your left leg long. Cross your right foot over your left leg. Sole of the foot to the ground. Bring your right hand behind you. Inhale, reach the left arm up. And exhale as you twist. This twist will stretch out the piriformis, which is the muscle that can pinch the sciatic nerve. So just doing this sometimes can really help. Also just with tight hips. So here you'll focus on really drawing your knee in towards the midline so you can get the stretch through the outer hip and thigh as you twist. Inhale to unwind and a little counter twist in the other direction. And then release. Second side, draw your left knee in, cross your left foot over your right thigh, left hand behind you, inhale, right arm up, exhale as you twist. So with your elbow or your arm, you hug your knee in towards the midline so that you find the stretch right through this part of the body, with the outer hip, the outside of your glute. Gaze out over your left shoulder. Inhale to unwind, little counter twist in the opposite direction. Come back to center, release, shake out your legs. Come all the way down onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest. You can give yourself a little massage here on your low back. Move the knees in one direction and then the other. And then draw your knees back into your chest. Place your hands so the palms are on your kneecaps and your fingers point down towards your toes. Draw the knees in towards the body, then take them wide and away from you, back into center. So big hip circles here as the knees move open and away, back together and in. And then the next time your knees hug into your chest, you'll reverse it and keep your knees together as you take them away from the body, then take them wide and towards you and back to center. And the next time you hug your knees in to your body, you'll stay there for a breath. Then take the knees wide, soles of the feet up towards the sky. Grab onto the pinky toe edges of your feet or your ankles and find happy baby. And whenever this pose feels complete for you, you'll make your way into Shavasana. There's another pose that your body needs. Feel free to take it. As you lay in Shavasana, you'll let your feet gently flop open to the sides, legs as wide as your mat, arms down by your sides with your palms face up. And here you can take the time to make yourself comfortable, to modify the pose so that you can rest, so that you can find some ease in the body. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. What can you surrender here to the earth? What can you release and let go of? Where can you relax or release tension? Move your tongue away from the roof of your mouth or the back of your teeth and let it be heavy and wide on the lower palate. Soften your cheeks, your jaw. Relax your eyes and let the eyeballs descend back into their sockets. And even if it's just for a moment, even if it's just for a few breaths, allow yourself to be at peace. Give yourself permission to relax and to let go and surrender into Shavasana. Slowly and gently begin to deepen your breath, drawing awareness back into your body as you wiggle your fingers and your toes. Start to move and stretch in any way that feels good on your body. Your next inhale, reach your arms overhead, lengthen from your fingers to your toes. Exhale, hug your knees into your chest, gently roll to your right side. Slowly make your way back up to find a comfortable seat. And once you arrive in a comfortable seat, you'll close your eyes, keeping your awareness drawn inward. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart. Call back your intention that you set at the beginning of class. And also take a moment to honor yourself for all the ways that you modify, that you're willing to change, to grow, that you're willing to reevaluate, and to make decisions that honor and reflect what's best for you, for your body, for your life, and for those you love. And let's end our class and seal in our intentions with a final cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in and let it go. And gently bow your head to your heart. The light within me recognizes and honors this very same light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for your practice. So great to be here with you today. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will see you next week. Closer.
Thanks. Hope you feel better.
Oh, thanks so much, Susan. Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks, Erin. Take
See you
care.
next
Bye.
time. You
Bye.
too. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.